Hi everyone.
Hello there. We're going to Sweden to meet a loyal Jehovah's Witness whose name is Rud Persson. Vivian warned me not to pronounce his name Rud Persson. She has Swedish blood, I don't doubt, because she's Danish. So I will be corrected. We'll call him Rud Persson till I'm corrected again by someone who knows Swedish better than I do. Ray begins, illustrative of the way the private actions of witnesses are closely monitored by loyal elders, men impelled to enforce the organization's great body of theocratic law, is the case in Sweden of Rud Persson and his wife. Rud was baptized as one of Jehovah's Witnesses in 1959. In January of 1986, he and his wife thought more seriously on the message of Christ Jesus in the parable of the Good Samaritan than they had done in the past. Moved especially by the hunger situation in Ethiopia, they paid a small annual membership fee to the Red Cross so as to obtain information about various emergency projects, among which they might choose to contribute some modest help. Rud expected no problem on this. His own mother, a staunch witness, had benefited from Swedish Red Cross invalid service after becoming permanently ill. A few months later, in May of that year, the presiding overseer of the local congregation approached Rud and inquired if he had joined the Red Cross. Rud expected a friendly conversation, but on his confirming that he had taken membership, the overseer dropped the subject and made no further inquiry.
Only later did Rud find that an investigation had already begun before this conversation. One elder, having heard a rumor that Rud had taken membership in the Red Cross, reported the matter to the body of elders. The elders had discussed the matter and had even contacted the circuit overseer of their area, Gert Anderson, for his advice. Why? It was felt that Rud might have broken his neutrality as regards war, as we have seen often expressed as having violated Isaiah 2:4. The elders, on June 19, 1986, wrote to the Watchtower's Swedish branch office, inquiring as to the advisability of calling Rud before a judicial committee to see if he had violated his Christian neutrality. The branch office replied, sending a copy of their letter to the circuit overseer, Anderson, saying they would research the matter and possibly obtain advice from the governing body in Brooklyn. Finally, on October 15, 1986, they sent the letter here shown to the presiding overseer of the congregation, Mats Nordsen.
And here's the letter, translated from Swedish. To the body of elders in the Perstorp congregation, dear brothers, we now write you concerning the information you provided the society that Brother Rud Persson had become a member of the Red Cross. We forwarded the issue to the brothers in Brooklyn to get their view on membership of such an organization. The brothers advised us that even if the Red Cross in a certain country carries out the service that may be needed locally, it still applies the principles of the International Red Cross with headquarters in Switzerland. It is claimed that the purpose of the organization is to relieve human hardship and suffering, but we must nevertheless remember that the organization had its beginning on the battlefields. It performs a large part of its work, directly or indirectly, in conflict with the thoughts outlined at Isaiah 2 verse 4. Now that's the text about learning war no more and turning these
Swords into
plowshares, etc.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute. So, 2, the organization is one of the world's biggest suppliers of blood for transfusions. It is also involved in political matters and often acts as mediator between nations at war.
Consequently, it is good to consider what an organization as a whole works for, and put that in relation to the Christian neutrality that God's people must show. And we cannot support misuse of blood either. To be sure, it is all very well to try to relieve human suffering, but we don't need to become members of a worldly organization to do so, do we? This was treated rather extensively in the Watchtower of October 1st, 1986. A person's motive for joining an organization also comes into the picture. Why does he wish to join a certain organization? Does he approve of what the organization stands for? It may happen that someone becomes a passive member of such an organization in order to qualify for a course in first aid. Nothing else is required of the individual. A Christian might think that his conscience allows for this. On the other hand, if someone says that he is defending everything the organization advocates, then of course his privileges in the congregation would be affected. If someone should become a member and actively support, for example, the worldwide blood program the Red Cross stands for, that would lead to disfellowshipping.
It could.
Oh yeah, that could lead to disfellowshipping.
They don't guarantee it.
Yeah, I think it would, yeah.
Hence, in your case, we recommend that you talk to Brother Rud Persson about this and examine his motive for joining the Red Cross. Is he of the opinion that what this organization stands for is good and proper? Is he aware of its program in support of blood transfusions and its activities as mediator between nations? When you have talked extensively with him about this and heard his reaction, please communicate with us again so that we can visualize his thinking in this matter, and if he wants to continue his membership of the Red Cross. What is his attitude to food containing blood served at school? Has he informed the teachers about our position regarding this? Birthday celebrations and so forth in connection with school activities. We mentioned this because Brother Garrett Anderson at one time made comments about this concerning the children of Brother Rud Persson. United with you in publishing the good news of the kingdom, we send our love and greetings, and of course it's signed by the society as opposed to individuals. You got to say that the tone of it seems more reasonable than we're used to.
A little bit, yeah.
Yet.
But there's a lot of assuming of motives and things like that. It's a lot of assumptions made.
One of them, of course, is around this central text, Isaiah 2 verse 4. Mm-hmm. And we've made a video about that, so we'll link to that. And that Ray has analyzed that already earlier in the book, and what it amounts to is making prophecy fit into policy right now. Mm-hmm. Turning what is intended as a prophecy of the kingdom come on earth into present policy. Yeah. So we'll link to that video.
Also, that this idea of they do blood work in the Red Cross, well, they do it in hospitals too. And yet we do not feel compelled never to make a donation to the local hospital or receive treatment if we're injured or sick at the hospital.
Which brings up the whole issue of when we receive benefits, where we're willing to receive benefits from these so-called worldly organizations, not just hospitals and charities, but also government.
Yeah.
And yet we feel somehow we're contaminated if we make any kind of contribution. So the double thing going on, of course, it's gone on for a long time now, at least since the days of Rutherford. So we'll link to the Isaiah 2:4 commentary by Ray. And next time, how does this situation with Rud Persson work out? Because it's kind of unusual in this book in terms of its outcome. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because Rud Persson just happens to be not only a reasonable and straight-thinking Jehovah's Witness, but he also seems to have done his homework, which probably means that he avoids getting into the worst predicament he could have gotten into if he reacted like the average JW to the pressure he was under. Mm-hmm. So that's in the next video. How does it work out for Rud Persson and his wife?